Well, we're about halfway through summer, which means we're slowly starting to think about back to school, especially as the Washington Post is pointing out Democrats' failure across the education system. Let's bring in Teacher Freedom Alliance CEO Ryan Walters and California State Superintendent candidate Sonia Shaw. Thank you both for coming on. Ryan, Superintendent, I want to keep calling you Superintendent, but Ryan Walters, the Washington Post writes the following here. The headline is, America faces an education depression. Why are Democrats silent? It goes on to say, Democrats have offered little on education policy beyond calls for more funding. Even as evidence of failure mounted, reading and math scores have fallen sharply. Achievement gaps have widened and chronic absenteeism has surged, yet the party has defaulted to defending an increasingly indefensible status quo. I mean, the default for the teachers' union, so on and so forth, always seems to be politics. What's your take on this?
That's right. The status quo benefits the teachers' union, so they're going to continue to be silent on any reforms. As long as money continues to flow into the teachers' union's pockets, which then go to the Democrat Party, which then helps them engineer elections, they're happy. So test scores, they could care less. Students being ready for the workforce, they could care less. Students being boxed out of the education system, they love it because, again, they get to keep power. It is about teachers' union controlling education to control the taxpayer funds and indoctrinate the youth.
Yeah, we're going to pause and see if we can get his audio fixed fully, but the Washington Post also writes the following here, Sonia. It is, quoting here, the party must also become more honest about results. The nation faces an education depression, yet Democrats have done little about it. They pass bills, announce initiatives, and spend more money, but rarely ask whether any of it worked. I mean, that's kind of the reason that you're running for state superintendent here, is because they're not asking if it's worked. They see these test scores, they see they're down, they see everything in California has just fallen apart. The schools are losing students hand over fist, and yet nobody's asking, are we doing the right things?
Absolutely, Trace. I mean, the nation is in education. We do have an education depression. We have our test scores plummeting. We have our gap, our margins widening, and we have the left saying that they have no real plan. Their plan is to throw more money into this failure instead of looking at real solutions, all while we even have our universities saying California kids are not ready and they need remedial math. You cannot put out a fire. You can't put out a fire with putting more gasoline into it. They are not honest about reform here in education. And right now, we need somebody like me to hold them accountable here in California.
Yeah, they seem more concerned about pensions and about contracts than they are about kids and about learning. Randy Weingarten, the American Federation of Teachers, it was their annual convention. Here she is talking about a political agenda. Watch this.
The Trump administration tried to stop any school, pre-K through college, from doing anything that could be construed as advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion. They sought to condition all federal funding for schools on compliance with this illegal dictate.
It baffles me, Ryan Walters, where she's talking again, as we talked earlier, she's talking about politics. She's talking about Trump. The test scores are down. They screwed up so many things during COVID. They still haven't recovered any kind of face on this thing. And yet here we are at the National Convention, and every speaker is talking about politics.
All the teacher unions care about is getting taxpayer funds and winning the Democrats their elections. So they're going to continue to toe the party line. They're going to continue to fight for the status quo, and they're going to continue to fight for their Democrat Party. And they don't care about the kids. It's obvious from their speeches. It's obviously it's obvious from their positions. They only care about keeping power. They only care about pushing Marxism. And student test scores will never get better under their watch.
Yeah, they certainly aren't going that direction. Meantime, Mike Rowe, the 30 Jobs guy, said this about trade work and people kind of skipping college and going to trade schools. Watch.
Shipbuilders, electricians, plumbers, steam fitters, HVAC technicians. It's a long list of people. They've always been in demand, but never like this. And that wasn't hyperbolic, by the way. Those electricians I met in Plano, all making north of 200 grand a year, no debt.
Yeah, there's good money in these things, Sonia, and that's the whole thing is where, you know, a lot of these young people in high school, they're thinking, I see colleges, I see my daughters who graduated from college. It's not easy to get a job. You need more than that, and they're not teaching you the things they need to be teaching you in college to give you the opportunity to get these good, successful jobs right out.
Absolutely, Trace. And I sit as a commissioner for technical career. It's so important to get our kids ready and into the workforce right after high school. Look, I always say if these union leaders spent less time in the courtrooms, you know, defending political rhetoric and spend more time in the classrooms, our kids would be ready because we would have the resources and the tools. We have more money than anybody in the world, and our kids are failing. We cannot allow another generation to suffer the way that this generation has under these teachers' unions.
Yeah, very quickly, Ryan Walters, I wanted to get your take on that just because, you know, I hear a lot of this now, and you see these trade schools, the enrollment is going up. What's the rationale? What's the reasoning for that in your estimation?
Young people see that that's where the jobs are. They see the opportunity there, so they're going there. And again, we've got to get out of this pushing college for all kids and say, what are your God-given talents, and help get them to the jobs of the future.
Yeah, Ryan Walters, Sonia Shaw, thank you both. Coming up, the left fights tooth and nail against voter ID, but if you want never-ending pasta at Olive Garden, you better bring an ID, because no ID, no linguine. So if it's good enough for pasta, should it be good enough for the polls? Let us know.